Russ's preparation course for the field study, that itself is a lot you're learning. But I think I was very fortunate in that he assigned me the assistant director role, and I learned tons from that. That is super applicable to any industry job because the situation is just so unique, and it really encourages you to think quick and prioritize right on the spot. And I've never been in that scenario before, in that environment where where we had a team of 4 members who's waiting on your response and your decisions, and a pretty high-profile client who we're filming. So I think with each interview that we did, I got more and more confident in it, and it just kind of, I grew into that role. But I think learning how to be quick and being very super responsive and making good calls quickly is super important for any job that you do. In terms of end result and personality, I think I relate to Matteo Rani and Andrea Braccoloni from Left Loft the most. So Matteo Rani is the industrial designer, and Andrea is the graphic designer. It's just that before we left to Italy, we did a whole, I think, 1 or 2 weeks of research of different designers, and it was really tough doing research here in Surrey about the designers in Italy, because there wasn't a lot of interviews about them or with them, or there wasn't a lot of articles published about them, so you didn't really get the connection. And so you have this perception of designers being super artistic and philosophical or spiritual. But when I met Matteo Rani and Andrea, it was really warming, because Matteo's a dad, and he has everyday worries too, and he goes biking to work, and Andrea has his client problems and all that stuff, and it makes it real. That, and a lot of their work and their process is driven, I think, from a very well-defined problem, and I can appreciate philosophical approaches and very very methodical ones too, but it's just that with Andrea and Matteo, they have clients that they're working with, and the clients define the problem, and the clients come up with a brief for them. So for me, that's an easier way to, is a more tangible progress versus coming up with my own message and then developing it from there. Okay, I think the word design is really loaded. And I was pretty confused coming into CIAT about design, and then even more confused during CIAT about what design is. It just seemed like during my whole undergrad that there's all these different definitions of design, and that it was never grounded or concrete. What was nice was throughout the interviews, Russ had asked each of our interviewees, what's design? And I loved it. I love the definition, and one of my most favorite one was Zero. His perception of design is non-existent. It's a project. You don't work towards an end goal. You don't work towards an end product. You work for the process, and the process creates your product. And that made so much sense to me, because in Russ's early courses, he always taught you to never ever look at the finished product, never look at what your interactive project is going to be. Just come up with a reason why you're coming up with a project. So it's always been the why, and then come up with a form based on your why. So that I can appreciate, and I can relate to a lot more. So.